This is Operation B, the podcast about living with intention, building what feels true, and dropping the things that don't. A place where purpose meets practice. I'm Jamie Thurber, your host, and together we'll explore how to live with clarity, freedom, and alignment without burning out or losing yourself, because it's time to be who you're meant to be. Let's get into it. This episode of Operation B is brought to you by Premium Kitchen and Bath. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Operation V. I am your host, Jamie Thurber. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to dive right in, guys. Last week was wild. We had quite the experience. I say we, like me and you. We did it together. So basically, it was one of those. It was mainly actually Friday, I'd say, even just one whole day. So many ridiculous things happened at the same time within like a couple hour window. And the way that it occurred and how I handled it and what's transpired since, I believe are valuable to share. First of all, a lot of times when I'm doing reflections on situations, life, issues, blah, blah, like 95% of the time, has nothing to do with the other person or the other party involved. It's because it really doesn't, you guys. Like, the thing we can hang our hat on as humans is how we handle something. So hanging our hat on how we personally handle something is a massive piece of the puzzle. And I think we spend a lot of our lives, especially when we're younger, worrying about other people in the situation more than and what could have been, more than choosing to feel very planted in our own feet as ourselves and as who we are and as what we do. So I think that is, again, very, very important shift that I've made in my life that I wish someone would have told me about sooner, to be honest. So the truth is if you're looking for peace or calm or feeling, grounded or complete in your life or your experiences, that peace comes from self-trust, not perfect circumstances. And that piece of the puzzle, I feel like, is, again, one of those giant lessons, because life can be chaotic and uncertain. We can't control every aspect. That's the one thing. What do they say? The one thing you can count on in life is change. It's never going to stop. And so, but when you trust yourself, you can handle things as they come. The anxiety drops. The stress drops. The self-trust dial goes up when we let ourselves do that. It's pretty incredible, if you ask me. So peace is not the absence of problems. It's the confidence in your ability to respond to what life throws at you. So the most powerful thing you can do is build trust in yourself. How do we do that? We do that by giving the situations where when we say we're going to do something, we do it. When we speak words, they're true and they're ours. When we mess up, we own it. When we're confused or don't understand, we ask questions. Like, we allow and lean in to the humanness that we have, and we let that be a guiding light. So that is a thing that if you can commit to anything, commit to that, and it creates a different sense of calm and steadiness in your life than really anything else, honestly. And it does, the ripple effect of that is a beautiful one. So integrity with yourself, I've learned, changes everything, because you don't have that, oh, did I say the wrong thing? Oh, what if I didn't do blah, blah, blah. Like, when you've slowed down enough to know, and you trained yourself to know that you're willing to do all the things we just talked about for self-trust, it flips the script and creates such a freedom in your headspace, because you're no longer, basically, what's the word? Like, you're no longer obsessing over every little move, because you're confident in the moves that you're making. You're confident in the heart behind it, the motivation behind your actions. And a lot of that, I think, also, it just comes from practicing presencing, like being present in moments where you can stop and think and feel really good about what you're doing and what you're saying in every instance. I think it's important to understand that that doesn't happen overnight. This is something that we practice. This is something, a muscle that we build. So don't be like ridiculously hard on yourself if you don't start feeling that relief right away. It's definitely a practice. And once it becomes your norm, you'll feel that weight lifted and you'll notice, oh, wow, okay, I haven't been worrying about as many things anymore, blah, blah, blah. Because doing what you say you'll do creates an internal calm and a lot less angst inside of yourself. When you follow through on your word, you stop second guessing yourself. So you stop committing to things that you can't do or answering questions that you don't know the answer to. And you'll stop second guessing yourself because you know if you said you were going to do it, you did it. And then if you don't have time or something happens that you're not able to accomplish the thing, you tell people. You don't hide from it, you deal with it. That just builds in such a quiet confidence that no one else can give you, nor can they take it away. That's what I like. I like the most to create situations within myself and within what I have going on that no one else can take away. It's important. It allows for a level of stability, I think, that we deserve. But no one can build but ourselves. And a lot of times nothing can build it but time and consistency. Self-trust is built through small promises kept every day. And that's something that, again, I think people look for a quick answer to or a quick way to get to the end result. It's not. It's a difference in the way of living. It's a difference in the decisions that you make. And the cool thing about that is that just because you have a hard week or a hard day or where things are out of your control, that does not mean that you're off track. That does not mean that at all. Actually, most of the time, it's the opposite. Like, especially if you catch yourself doing that and not like having a hard week and not completely, spontaneously combusting. Growth seasons often feel messy. Have you ever watched, when you were a kid and you put a seed in like the Ziploc bag with a wet paper towel and you watched it start to grow and sprout and search for air and search for sunlight? Like, it's a messy and uncomfortable thing. It's also, again, a part of life. Change is something you're never going to outrun or hide from. So if you're building something meaningful and then we have the levels of self-trust involved, challenges will be part of the process, but overcoming them is not as difficult as we may think it is, because the goal isn't avoiding the difficulties. It's in aligning while we move through it. Staying aligned with what we believe, how we want to feel, how we want to be, who we want to be in a situation that's hard. If we can stay aligned with that while you move through it, ooh, what a beautiful moment. A hard week does not erase the progress that you've made. If anything, it strengthens it, in my opinion. Not everything deserves your reaction is another beautiful piece of power that I would suggest you start trying to cultivate for yourself, because it is hard sometimes, just because we want to know or we want someone to understand and we want to grab them and shake them and say, come on, don't you hear me? Don't you know? It doesn't have to be this difficult. Don't you know? That's part of what will keep you in the angst. That's part of what will keep you from shining, from being able to handle these tough situations without them turning into mountains that take you weeks and weeks to get through, let alone get over or recover from. Some situations will test your boundaries, your patience, and realistically, friends, your leadership abilities. Like, that's something that I've noticed over the past, 9-10 months since I've taken over at Trueline. And then, of course, throughout the process with the barbecue sauce company, I have had such growth in my leadership abilities and such confidence built in my leadership abilities because I've positioned myself with people who respect me and trust me and know that this is something that I'm capable of and that it's in good hands with me. And it's a beautiful gift, honestly. I don't know that the people involved really have understood how important that trust has been to me, and then they're also their patience to allow me to figure things out and sort things out, as we've been dealt a lot of messy hands because we were cleaning up a really messy situation in some, honestly, in both places. So testing your leadership, it's actually not testing, it's building it, it's strengthening it. Responding calmly instead of emotionally protects your energy and it makes you stand out. There were many times over the last week that I laughed myself and said, isn't it so funny that they say that women shouldn't be in positions of power because they're too emotional? While I sat and watched grown men significantly older than me have toddler-sized temper tantrums, literally, in the workplace. Shocking. Like, it's shocking. And this, unfortunately, is not the first, probably won't be the last time that I have to deal with those things, but it just makes me laugh because I'm like, as I'm sitting here controlling myself and looking at the situation strategically and handling it in a way that supports the end result and the current desire for my emotions, my team, my all those things, I watch these men who believe themselves to be powerful or believe themselves to be whatever it is they believe themselves to be, better than me, I guess, or teaching me a lesson or doing said thing. And I'm like, huh? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. So instead, I calmly respond and explain. And then if they choose to still stand in that spot, that's their decision. There's strength in silence. There's strength in restraint. There's strength in knowing when is a time to speak and when a time is to not speak and allow the situation to be what it's going to be. You don't have to pick up every battle that's handed to you. Just because that person decided they wanted to be pissed off today, or they wanted to show up in some kind of mood, or they wanted to try to get a rise out of you, does not mean that you have to attend said argument that you were invited to. You do not. You do not, you do not, you do not. Those arguments are going to drag you down. They're going to keep you confused. They're going to ruin your energy. And I'll tell you what, you can't let them do that without your permission. And now, granted, we're all humans and sometimes it happens, but man, when you can control it and not go there, it's amazing. The power is so amazing because then you truly are able to grow and notice those things within yourself. And it just creates such a more beautiful relationship with your own leadership abilities and the belief in yourself. And the other piece of that too is like when I act like that and I see this in other people, the clarity that comes from reflection and restraint is crystal clear, friends. Reflection through hard experiences turns into wisdom. And that wisdom is something only time can create for you. It's so valuable and I'm so grateful for it, and you should be too. So your job when a tough thing happens or a bad week comes at you is to stay aligned with who you are and who you want to be. Not who you want to seem like, who you want to be. Because who you want to seem like or be and, whatever perceived as may not match and it may not be grounded. I think you need to make that there's not two. I think it's one. You either are that person, like that's who you're working on being, or you're this other version of yourself while you're wearing somebody else's mask, which we don't want to do because it's impossible to hold that up long term. So because circumstances change, people will disappoint you. Man, it sucks. Man, it sucks when people disappoint you. It's also part of the journey. And this other piece, I hate. Plans will change. As a planner, operations director, somebody who's obsessed with details, plans will change. One of the most valuable things that I've ever given myself was the ability to learn to be flexible. Learning that flexibility has a time and a place is insane. Insanely freeing, insanely invigorating and confidence building. And it's just, flexibility is so necessary. And in the places I was in where I had messy work situations, messy house or like business, personal life situations. And then health was just a freaking hoopla, like nobody knew what was going on. I looked for things that I could control. And plans shift. and I don't need to be dropped on my head every time it happens. So building resistance and flexibility into my lifestyle has literally changed my life in such a big way. But because what you do have control over, friends, you don't have control over how other people will act, but you do have control over how you show up and how you react to what's placed in front of you. And that may be not mine, I'm not picking that up. But you're in charge of how you react. So many times in this past several days, I've wanted to tell somebody like it is and ask them why they're being so stupid. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would you do that to us? Why would you waste that money? Why would you put all that effort in? And I used to, at a time in my life, just spiral about those things instead of going, you know what? I don't really need to understand why they did it. I have my own clarity because I know me and I know how I can show up and I know what I'm capable of, and this is what we're going to do. And then you make a new plan, and that plan usually changes somewhere along the lines too. But again, when you've built that confidence in yourself, the real win is staying true to yourself and proving that trust that you have, because it really is just one of the most powerful gifts you can give yourself, because nobody else is able to provide that for you. So no matter where you are in your day, in your week, in your month, if you had the ability to take anything from this conversation, I'm going to give you this closing line. Life isn't always calm, but when you know who you are and you trust yourself to follow through, there's a peace that comes with that. And that's the kind of peace worth building. That's the kind of peace that your efforts will pay off and you will be grateful that you did it. Life isn't always calm, but when you know who you are and you trust yourself to follow through, there's a peace that comes from that no one else can give you. And that's the kind of peace that's worth building. And we're going to leave it at that, my friend. Whatever you are going through, save this, bookmark this, listen to this again when you're having a bad week and you're feeling lonely or you're feeling alone in this, holy shit, what do I do now? Come back to this conversation and let it ground you. Let it remind you of who you are and what power you have to deal with a situation in a way that you can be proud of. As always, thank you so much for being here with me and listening and following along with my journey on Operation B. And if you have liked this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share this with somebody that you think can benefit from us. Thank you very much to True Line Media Group for helping with the production of this show, as well as our sponsors, Premium Kitchen and Bath and SpaSandMoreSTL.com. You know, I used to think hot tubs were just for fancy vacations or luxury houses. But then I met Angie at Spas and More, this family-owned and operated business right here in St. Louis. She showed me how these master spas aren't just luxurious, they're about wellness. I actually got to try one out in their showroom, and it made me realize how much better I feel after a soak. If you want to experience what actually fits your lifestyle, go see Angie and her team in Sunset Hills. It's like test driving your own wellness. Visit Spas and More in Sunset Hills or online at SpaSandMoreSTL.com. Thank you for listening to Operation B, the podcast. To support this message and to support the show, please make sure that you like, follow, and share wherever you enjoy listening. And be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. That's the way to support this message. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.